Cadet 13 stood in the center of the living room, scanning everything with his wrist device. The walls looked normal, the air seemed clean, and the security systems were untouched. Yet, something felt wrong. His instincts, trained through years of war and survival, told him there was danger nearby. The House of Earth diplomat John was supposed to be secure, especially after yesterday's strange behavior of the cat. But now, the silence felt heavier than usual. Something was watching. Cadet 13 turned slowly. The lights flickered for just half a second. That was enough. His eyes locked on the corner of the ceiling. His hand moved instantly, activating the defense shield around the room. And then, it happened. A small, almost invisible shimmer moved near the kitchen entrance. The intruder was using advanced cloaking, far beyond human technology. It bypassed all alarms. Even his own sensors caught it too late. Cadet 13 shouted a warning in his native alien tongue and charged forward. His fists glowed with battle energy. As he swung at the invisible enemy, a sharp pulse shot out from the shimmer, hitting him in the shoulder. He staggered back, surprised. This was no ordinary assassin. Then something unbelievable happened. From the side of the sofa, the cat, small, black, silent, leaped into the air like a dark blur. Her body moved faster than any Earth creature. She landed directly on the invisible attacker. With a terrifying screech, the cat's claws cut through the cloaking field. Sparks flew. The shimmer broke. The attacker fell to the ground, hissing in pain. Now visible, the intruder looked like a thin gray alien, not human, not from any known race. Its body trembled. The cat stood on its chest, staring straight into its eyes. Cadet 13 froze. His mind couldn't understand what he just saw. How did a normal cat sense an invisible assassin before his battle-trained eyes? How did it move so fast? How could it break through alien stealth tech? The cat looked at him now, her green eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Cadet 13 felt something cold inside him. Not fear, not yet, but a kind of deep confusion, like something ancient just brushed against his soul. The cat stepped off the attacker's body and disappeared into the hallway. She didn't even look back. The intruder was unconscious, his device short-circuited. Cadet 13 tied him up and activated a containment field. But his eyes kept going back to the hallway, to where the cat had vanished. That night, Cadet 13 didn't sleep. He accessed the house's internal records, camera feeds, motion sensors, even thermal scans. In every angle, the cat had moved like a shadow. But at the moment of the attack, her body temperature spiked. Her eyes flared with an unknown energy signature. No Earth animal had such energy. He took a deep breath and walked silently into the living room. The cat was sitting by the window now, watching the night sky. Calm, silent. He sat across from her and slowly activated his portable DNA scanner. It hummed quietly. The cat didn't move. She didn't blink. It was like she allowed it. Data began to appear on his wrist screen. Skin sample taken. Analyzing. The result froze him. Unknown origin. No match in Earth database. No match in galactic systems. Estimated age. Unreadable. That couldn't be right. Every living thing had a genetic trace, a source, a code. But this cat, this creature, had no origin. She didn't exist in any known record across the stars. Cadet 13's heart beat faster. He wasn't afraid of war. He wasn't afraid of monsters. But this mystery, it made him feel something strange, something very close to fear. He stared at the cat again. She stared back, long, unblinking, as if she knew every thought in his head. He whispered, "What are you?" The cat tilted her head slightly. For a second, her eyes flashed silver, just for a second. He leaned back slowly. This wasn't just a cat. It was something else. Something watching. Something waiting. Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. It was Diplomat John's voice. "Cadet, I saw the alert. Are you okay?" "Yes," Cadet 13 replied without taking his eyes off the cat. "I captured the intruder." There was silence on the line. Then John said something strange. "She helped you, didn't she?" Cadet 13 paused. "You knew?" John sighed. "I didn't think it would start so soon." "What do you mean?" But John ended the call. Cadet 13 looked at the cat again. She was gone. Just like that. No sound. No trace. The air felt colder now. He wasn't alone. And for the first time in his life, Cadet 13 felt something he couldn't explain. Not pain, not anger, but a question that brought fear. What kind of being hides behind the face of a simple cat? And why is it watching Earth? Cadet 13 walked slowly through the Earth diplomat's house, his boots making no sound on the smooth floor. His wrist scanner moved left to right, searching for energy spikes or hidden threats. The room looked peaceful, but his instincts told a different story. Something wasn't right. He had been trained in the most advanced combat programs of his alien race. He had faced assassins, war machines, and creatures from black holes. But right now, in this quiet human home, his senses were on high alert. The lights flickered. Just for a second. He turned instantly. His wrist scanner blinked. A reading appeared, very faint, almost invisible. Then the temperature dropped slightly. The kind of drop that only happens when a cloaked intruder enters a room using stealth tech. He didn't wait. He activated the house lockdown. A soft hum surrounded the walls. But before the field could seal the house, a shimmer moved fast toward the hallway. Cadet 13 lunged forward. His arm glowed with electric energy as he threw a punch at the shimmer. But the intruder was faster than he expected. A stun blast hit Cadet 13 in the shoulder, pushing him back. Then, from the corner of the room, something dark moved. It was the cat. The same black cat that stared at him the day before. But this time, it didn't just stare. The cat jumped, not like a normal animal, but like a shadow flying through space. In midair, her body twisted, and she landed directly on the invisible enemy. A loud screech filled the room as her claws cut through the shimmer field. Sparks flew. A small explosion lit up the floor. The intruder became visible now. A gray-skinned humanoid creature, eyes glowing red. It was not human. It was not from Earth. And it was clearly here to kill. The cat stood on the creature's chest, tail flicking slowly. Her green eyes locked on the enemy's, unblinking. The creature froze. Cadet 13 stood still. His mind couldn't process what he had seen. This wasn't possible. No Earth animal should have been able to detect, move faster than, or disable a trained stealth killer. And yet, this cat just did. The creature passed out. Cadet 13 tied it with magnetic cuffs and activated a force field prison around it. But his attention kept going back to the cat. She had walked away, quietly, slowly, calm, like nothing had happened. She sat under the window now, licking her paw, as if saving the house from an assassin was just another part of her evening routine. Cadet 13 narrowed his eyes. Something wasn't right. Later that night, Cadet 13 sat in front of his small portable lab. He had taken a hair from the cat's tail, carefully, without alerting her. He now placed it inside a scanner. The scanner hummed softly. He watched the data appear on the screen. Analyzing sample. Processing DNA. No match found in Earth animal records. No match found in known galactic species. Origin. Unknown. Estimated age. Unreadable. His hands froze. What did this mean? There were millions of species recorded in the galactic database. Even rare or extinct creatures had some genetic footprint. But this cat, this being, didn't match anything. It was like she didn't exist in the known universe. He leaned back in his chair. His mind was spinning. Who, or what, was this cat? She looked like a normal Earth animal. She acted like one too, quiet, playful, curious. But inside her, something ancient was hiding, something powerful. Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. It was Diplomat John. "Cadet," John said, his voice tired. "Are you all right?" "Yes, I caught the intruder." There was silence. Then John asked, "Did she help you?" Cadet 13 paused. "You mean the cat?" "Yes," John said softly. "She always knows when danger is coming, sometimes before it even arrives." Cadet 13's eyes narrowed. "What is she?" John didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "She's been with my family for a long time. Before me, before my grandfather. No one really owns her. She just stays. And when she stares, people listen." The call ended. Cadet 13 sat in silence. He looked across the room. The cat was watching him again. Not blinking, not moving, just watching. And for the first time, Cadet 13 didn't feel in control. He didn't feel like the strongest warrior in the galaxy. He felt like a student, and the cat was the teacher. A teacher who didn't speak, only stared. And behind that stare, something powerful was hiding. Cadet 13 couldn't sleep. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the dark hallway. Everything was quiet, but his mind wasn't. The scan report from the cat kept playing in his head. Unknown origin. No match in any database. It was impossible, and yet it was real. He had seen powerful enemies. Machines made of pure energy. Aliens that could change shape or become invisible. But never in his life had he seen a small Earth creature leap through stealth shields and take down an assassin like it was nothing. And now, the cat was doing something even stranger. She was speaking, not with sound, but with thoughts. It started when he was trying to rest. His body was tired, but his mind was alert. The lights were off. The house was still. Then suddenly, a soft voice echoed inside his head. "You are not ready." Cadet 13 sat up straight. He looked around. No one was there. His wrist scanner picked up no signals. The room was clear. He thought he was imagining it. But then it came again. Clearer. "You are strong, but you fear what you don't understand." The voice was calm. Female. Not robotic. Not alien. Not human. It felt ancient, wise, and heavy. He looked at the door, and there she was, the cat, sitting silently in the hallway, her eyes glowing faint green. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at him with those deep, cold eyes. He stood slowly and walked toward her. His heart beat faster. It wasn't fear, but it was something close. He stopped a few feet away. The cat didn't move. "Was that you?" he asked out loud, almost whispering. No answer. But the moment he asked, another thought came to his mind. "You must see." She turned and walked down the hallway. Cadet 13 followed without thinking. Something about the way she moved told him this wasn't just a normal walk. She was taking him somewhere. They passed through the hallway, down the stairs, into a part of the house he hadn't explored. The basement. The door creaked open. He stepped down carefully. The cat walked ahead like she had lived there forever. The basement was cold, dark, filled with old boxes and dust. But in the corner, something strange caught his eye. A wall, but not a normal one. Covered in symbols, glowing faintly in blue and red. Alien symbols. He stepped closer. These weren't human markings. These weren't from any known race in the Galactic Council either. These were ancient. He touched one of the glowing symbols. A cold energy shot through his hand, up his arm, into his brain. Suddenly, visions filled his mind. Planets burning. Creatures of shadow swallowing stars. A single glowing figure, small, black, with glowing green eyes, standing between destruction and silence. It was her, the cat. He stumbled back, breathing hard. His head spun. He looked at the cat again. She sat beside the wall, calm and quiet. "What are you?" he asked. Another whisper echoed in his mind. "I am a guardian." He swallowed hard. A guardian of what? Of balance, of silence, of endings. He didn't understand. What did that mean? The cat stood now, her tail slowly moving side to side. She walked toward him and stopped just in front of his feet. "You are strong," she said into his thoughts. "But strength without understanding is weakness. Fear teaches, fear prepares. You must feel fear or you will fall." He didn't like that. He hated fear. Fear was for the weak. But now, standing in a dark basement, facing a talking cat from some unknown race, even Cadet 13 had to admit, he didn't feel strong. He felt small, lost. He sat down on the cold floor. The cat moved beside him and lay down, placing her head on her paws. "I don't understand," he said softly. "Why me? Why now?" The answer came slowly. "Because they are coming." "Who?" The symbols on the wall pulsed faintly. "Those who silence stars. I saw them once before, long ago. They return. You must be ready." Cadet 13 stared at the wall again. He knew war. He knew enemies. But this was something deeper, something older. He looked at the cat. Her eyes met his. No anger, no emotion, just truth. He didn't speak again that night. He sat beside her in silence. And when morning came, Cadet 13 had only one question in his heart. How do you fight something older than fear itself? The sun rose slowly over the city, but inside the diplomat's house, the light didn't reach Cadet 13's heart. He stood in the basement, staring at the glowing symbols on the wall. They were still warm, still alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. He hadn't moved much since the night before. The cat was gone again, disappeared without a sound. But her words remained in his mind, whispering over and over. They are coming. Cadet 13 didn't know who they were, but deep down, he understood one thing. Whatever was coming, it wasn't just a threat to Earth, it was a threat to everything. He activated his wrist communicator. A hologram of a tall alien soldier appeared, his superior, Commander Valen. "Report," the commander said, sharp as always. "We stopped an assassin," Cadet 13 replied. "Stealth tech, unknown race. Not human." Valen narrowed his eyes. "Mission threat level." Cadet 13 hesitated. Then he said quietly, "Unknown, but rising." The commander's image flickered. "Be specific, soldier." Cadet 13 looked toward the empty space where the cat had been. "I believe we are dealing with a higher life form, not human, not from any known system, possibly ancient, possibly a protector." There was silence on the line. Then the commander laughed, short and cold. "Are you talking about a cat?" "Yes, sir." Valen shook his head. "You were our best. Don't disappoint me. Complete your mission and leave. Earth is not our concern." The call ended. Cadet 13 stared at the device. He knew what that meant. They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't believe. And if something really was coming, Earth would be left alone. He walked back upstairs, slow and heavy. His arms still hurt from the fight with the invisible attacker, but the pain didn't matter now. His mind was filled with something else, the feeling of being watched. Again. This time, it wasn't just a feeling. As he entered the kitchen, he stopped. The cat was sitting on the counter, staring at him, not moving. "How long have you been there?" he asked. No reply, just the stare. "You said they're coming. Who are they?" The cat tilted her head slightly. "You saw them in the wall," she answered inside his mind. "They come from outside the known stars. They consume light. They devour planets. They do not speak. They do not stop." Cadet 13 sat down. "And you fought them?" "Yes." "Alone?" "Yes." How many times? The cat looked away, slowly blinking. Too many. He didn't know what to say. This creature, this small, silent cat, had seen more than entire civilizations, had fought in wars no one remembered. And yet here she was, sitting in a human kitchen, beside a broken toaster. Cadet 13 finally asked, "Why Earth?" The cat looked at him again. Her voice was quiet in his thoughts. "Because Earth creates strange things." "What kind of strange?" "Hope, love, sacrifice. These are weapons they do not understand." He stared at her, confused. The cat continued, "Earth is not strong, not fast, not prepared. But Earth has something wild. And sometimes wildness is enough to survive." Suddenly, the house shook. A low hum came from outside, deep and rising. Cadet 13 jumped to his feet. He ran to the window. Above the city, dark clouds were forming, but they weren't made of water or gas. They were ships, silent, floating, black like space itself. He activated the defense system. Shields went up. Lasers pointed to the sky. The diplomatic base buzzed with alerts. From the corner of the room, the cat stepped forward. "They're early," she said. Cadet 13 turned to her. "Can we fight them?" She blinked slowly. "No." "Then what do we do?" The cat jumped onto the table and looked into his eyes. "We slow them down." Before he could ask what she meant, the ground outside cracked. One of the enemy ships fired a dark beam. It wasn't fire. It wasn't plasma. It was silence. Pure, crushing silence, turning everything it touched to ash. Panic started in the streets. Cadet 13 grabbed his weapon. "We need to move." But the cat stayed still. "I will handle the first wave." "What?" "No, you can't." She looked at him with those deep green eyes. "This is not your fight yet. You still have a part to play. But not now. If you die today, the future ends." And just like that, she walked toward the front door. Calm, slow, like death didn't scare her. He followed her outside. The sky was dark now. The enemy ships hovered like shadows. The cat stopped in the center of the road. She sat down and raised her head. Then everything around her began to glow. The ground, the air, the space above her. She was activating something. Power. Ancient, silent power. And Cadet 13 realized something terrifying. The cat wasn't just a guardian. She was a weapon. And now, she was awake. The ground trembled beneath Cadet 13's feet as he stood beside the cat. The enemy ships were still hovering in the sky, casting dark shadows over the city. There was an eerie silence as the black vessels floated above them, their engines humming low and steady. No weapons fired. No soldiers appeared. It was like they were waiting. Waiting for something. The cat's eyes never wavered from the ships. Her body was still, but a strange energy radiated from her. It was subtle at first, like the air itself was vibrating. But soon, it grew stronger, more intense, as if she were drawing the very power of the planet into herself. Cadet 13 watched in awe as the ground beneath the cat's paws began to crack and glow. A bright blue light formed beneath her, swirling like a vortex. The energy spread outward in waves, pushing against the air like invisible hands. "Move back," she said in his mind, her voice calm but powerful. He obeyed, stepping back slowly. His heart raced. This was unlike anything he had ever seen before. The cat wasn't just waiting for the enemy to make the first move. She was preparing to face them head-on. The ships above them started to shift, their dark forms changing shape. They opened, revealing sleek, metallic surfaces. Red lights began to pulse along their sides, and a low hum filled the air. It was a sound that sent a chill down Cadet 13's spine. These ships were no ordinary invaders. They were predators, silent, efficient, and deadly. He turned to the cat. "What are they?" "They are the Silent Ones," she answered, her voice deep in his mind. They come from beyond the stars, from the dark space where even light fears to travel. They devour worlds, one by one. Their ships are built to silence everything they touch, to erase all sound, all movement, all life. Cadet 13's fingers tightened around his weapon. He had faced deadly enemies before, but none like this. None that could erase everything in their path. The cat's eyes glowed brighter now, the green light flickering like a flame in the dark. She lifted her head and let out a single soft meow. It wasn't a normal sound. It was a signal, a command. Without warning, the first ship fired. A beam of pure darkness shot from its center, aimed straight at the ground where the cat stood. It was the same weapon that had already turned parts of the city to ash. But as the beam struck the ground, something incredible happened. The cat's energy flared up, and a barrier of light erupted around her. The beam of darkness hit the barrier, but instead of erasing everything in its path, the energy was absorbed. The beam seemed to twist and disappear into the barrier, as if the cat had devoured it. The ships above paused, their lights flickering. There was confusion in the air, a momentary hesitation. Then, as if they had sensed a shift in the balance of power, the Silent Ones launched their next attack. More beams of darkness rained down, this time targeting the entire city. Buildings cracked, streets crumbled, and the very ground beneath them seemed to shake with the force of the assault. But the cat was ready. Her power surged again, brighter than before, and the beams vanished as they hit her protective field. She absorbed them, turning the darkness into light, twisting it into a force that filled the streets. Cadet 13 couldn't believe what he was seeing. The cat wasn't just a guardian. She was a force of nature, a weapon unlike anything he had ever encountered. The enemy ships retreated slightly, floating higher into the sky, but the cat wasn't finished. With a low growl, she stepped forward, and the ground trembled beneath her paws. The energy around her intensified, and the air crackled with power. She leaped into the air, faster than anything he had ever seen. She flew toward the nearest ship with such speed that she seemed to vanish in an instant. The ship tried to fire, but the cat was already there, striking with the force of a meteor. The ship exploded in a burst of light and debris, sending shockwaves through the air. The cat landed gracefully, her eyes still glowing with that eerie, otherworldly light. Cadet 13 stood frozen, his mouth hanging open. The first ship had been destroyed in seconds. But the others weren't giving up. They fired again, more beams of darkness pouring from the sky. The cat was already moving, leaping from one ship to another, her claws cutting through their defenses like paper. Each ship that she touched seemed to break apart, its dark energy turned against it. "She's destroying them," Cadet 13 muttered, his voice barely audible. "Yes," the cat replied, her voice clear in his mind, "but they are many. And their hunger is endless. They do not stop." The cat continued her assault, each move more graceful and deadly than the last. But Cadet 13 could see the toll it was taking. Her energy was fading, her movements slowing. He knew she couldn't keep this up forever. She was powerful, yes, but she was not invincible. "Cat," he shouted, running toward her. "You have to stop. Let me help." She turned to him, her green eyes glowing even brighter. "You cannot help me, but you must help them." She motioned toward the city, where chaos was spreading. People were running, hiding, trying to escape the destruction. "They are not your enemies," she said softly. "They are only lost, only hungry." Cadet 13 understood. He wasn't meant to fight the Silent Ones directly. He was meant to protect the humans, to ensure that they survived. He grabbed his weapon and sprinted into the heart of the city, his mind focused on one thing: saving Earth. The cat would fight the invaders, but it was up to him to ensure that humanity had a chance to rebuild. The battle was far from over. But as long as the cat was there was still hope. The city was chaos. People ran in every direction, their eyes wide with fear, their minds racing to comprehend the destruction that was raining down from the sky. Buildings crumbled. The ground trembled. The Silent Ones were relentless, their dark beams of energy tearing through everything in their path. But amidst the chaos, there was a light, a bright, glowing force that fought back against the darkness. The cat. Cadet 13 ran through the streets, his mind racing with every step. His training told him to keep fighting, to keep pushing against the enemy. But now, it wasn't just the Silent Ones he had to worry about. It was the people. The civilians, the ones who had no idea what was happening, the ones who couldn't defend themselves. He could see them scattered throughout the streets, huddling in doorways, hiding behind whatever cover they could find. The fear in their eyes was real. They knew something was coming, but they didn't understand what it was or how to survive it. Cadet 13 reached his wrist scanner and activated it, sending out a city-wide signal. This is Cadet 13. We need to evacuate. Move toward the designated shelters. Stay calm. The response was immediate. The shelter systems were still active. People were responding, but there was panic. Too much panic. They wouldn't make it in time if they kept running without a plan. He looked back toward the battlefield. The cat was still in the air, a streak of green light cutting through the sky as she leaped from ship to ship, destroying each one with precise, deadly strikes. But even she couldn't stop the invasion completely. More ships were coming. More destruction was inevitable. He didn't have time to think. He knew what had to be done. He ran toward the Central Command Center, a building located at the heart of the city, designed for moments like this, when all communications and systems needed to be unified. His hand was steady as he reached the door, his mind focused on one thing: activating the final defense protocols. Inside, the room was full of officers and technicians, their faces tense with worry. They turned as Cadet 13 entered, looking at him with a mix of confusion and urgency. "Cadet, what's happening? Where's the evacuation order?" One of them asked. "Evacuations are in progress," Cadet 13 said, his voice firm. "But we need to focus on the next phase. I've seen their technology. We can't fight them head-on, but we can disrupt their systems." The officers exchanged worried glances. Disrupt them? How? Cadet 13 looked at the holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the positions of all the Silent One ships, their movements slow and deliberate as they moved across the city. "We need to hack their communication systems," Cadet 13 said. "We need to disrupt their ability to coordinate, to attack. If we do that, we can buy enough time to force them to retreat." The technicians at the table began working quickly, typing commands into their consoles, their fingers moving with practiced speed. The air was thick with tension as they worked to lock onto the Silent One's communications channels. Cadet 13 knew this was a gamble. If they failed, there was no backup. But if they succeeded, they might be able to cripple the Silent One's assault. Outside, the sound of explosions shook the building. The cat's attacks were still relentless, but the enemy wasn't backing down. Cadet 13 turned to the commander of the operation. "How long?" "Just a few more seconds," she said, her voice tight with concentration. As the seconds passed, Cadet 13 couldn't help but think about the cat. She was the only one who seemed to understand what was truly at stake. But even with her power, even with her ancient abilities, she couldn't hold back the Silent Ones forever. She needed help. Earth needed help. The sound of the hum from the ships grew louder, and suddenly, a flash of green light illuminated the sky. The cat had destroyed another ship, but there were still dozens more hovering above them. Then, a high-pitched tone echoed through the command center, followed by a loud click. The system was in. "We've got it," one of the technicians shouted. A hologram of the Silent One's fleet flickered. Their positions started to shift erratically, the ships losing coordination. Some stopped moving entirely, others began to retreat. It was working. "We've disrupted their communication systems," the technician confirmed. "They're in disarray." Cadet 13 felt a wave of relief, But it was short-lived. The Silent Ones were still dangerous, still powerful, but they were no longer unified. Their advantage was gone. Outside, the cat landed softly on the ground in front of the command center. Her eyes were no longer glowing with the intense green light. She was tired, exhausted, but still standing. Cadet 13 walked toward her. "You did it." The cat looked at him, her gaze calm. "We did it." He nodded. "Now we finish this." The cat turned toward the sky, her eyes narrowing as she focused on the remaining ships. "Not yet. They will not stop until the last one falls. We must hold them back." He understood now. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, but the battle had changed. They were no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. Cadet 13 looked back at the command center, where the technicians continued to monitor the remaining ships. He knew there was still more to be done, more sacrifices to be made. But with the cat at his side, Earth had a chance to fight back, a chance to survive.